first thing we need to do is we need to take off this strip underneath the headlight. In order to do that, there are two clips. The bottom one over here, you need to push down, and this middle one over here, press down as well this side. So on the back side, you've got to press down, and on the front side here, you've got to press down. And it just comes out easy like that. And then it just swivels outwards like this, and it'll slide out. Now you might find that some of these clips might be broken. I used white PVC pipe to actually fashion these ones on the other one. Let me quickly show you. Comes out, swivels out. And this is what I mean. So I took, I think it was a 40mm PVC pipe and a heat gun, and I started molding it inside of this. I glued it down there with, I think it was epoxy, and fashioned these side pieces and molded them and cut them until they fit nicely, and it's been doing an excellent job. Next is a size 10 socket on the top of the light. It isn't very tight because it is plastic. The bolt is metal, but the clip is plastic, and you don't want to, when tightening again, you don't want to tighten it too hard in so that you break this plastic. You don't want to tighten it too much. And for the last two bolts, also the size 10s, you've got one over here and you've got one over here. And with that, you just slide it out this way, trying not to scratch your bumper. Mine happens to be freshly painted. There we go. So you got this one, which is responsible for the headlight adjustment. This one over here is your headlights, dims and brights, and your park light. And then, as I said, this is your indicator. So the three plugs that we've just pulled out, we first of all got the headlight adjustment plug, which is it's got this clip over here, and you're able to push this clip and release it. We've got the headlight dims and brights plug, and this clip lifts up like that and you're able to push it out. And then we've got the indicator light, which has got this clip here which you lift up and push out. Okay, so for this last part of the LED upgrade of the ML W163, we've taken out the headlight, we've got the spotlight over here and the dim lights over here. Let's just open these up. That one twists. Now what you'll see over here, this doesn't look like factory installation, and that is because it isn't. So there's unfortunately something that with the age of these headlights now that you're going to have to be looking at. When I started doing this, I found that all the wires in the wiring harness of the lights, they were all starting to perish, as you can see on these photos that I took as I was busy repairing it. So what you have to do is you have to take out the whole wiring harness. I tie up a string to one side and pull it out, and that makes it easier to pull the harness back in once you're finished with it. But unfortunately, one's going to have to cut off on each side right next to the plugs over here and put a new wire on. There's no other way to do it. In fact, the insulation perishes all the way up to the terminals over here. You'll have to open the terminals here like this. There you can see the terminals there, and you will have to actually put this insulation like what I've done, heat shrink tubing all the way up to it after you've cut it there, all the way up to the terminal over there, and then join your new wire on there. And you have to do it for each one. This is the headlights, so this is the dims, you've got the brights over here, and then you've even got the park lights over there inside there, and all of it needs to be done, all of it. You remove the harness by, this is the headlight plug, and you'll put a screwdriver in there and just lift that up, and you can just really pull hard on this and you'll be able to wiggle out. You need to wiggle it out. There is an O-ring, or a rectangular ring in this case, around there. I took red rubber grease, greased it, put it back on, and that should keep the O-ring nice and healthy. So what LEDs are going to be working in these headlights? Well, as you know, it's H7 headlights for dims as well as the spots, so you'll need to get two sets of two. I've gone with the Philips, but I've specifically gone with the braid. The reason being is because the space over here is actually it's not so much. Same especially with the spotlights. Spotlights is most especially narrow. If you want to get headlights that have the fans on, you're gonna have to make sure that they are the narrow fan headlight. Okay, I mean narrow fan bulbs. I mean, like that. And yeah, and you're able to fold them out into the hole over there on both sides. I've already done the other headlight, so and it works quite well. One thing that one's going to need to realize is one's going to need to get 2 of these adapters for each headlight, so 4 of them. I'm going to show you exactly how they work. I also wanted to change the park light, which is a I think it's a T10 wedge bulb, and so I bought these ones. Unfortunately, they turned out to be too long. They can't fit in there. You need to sort of squeeze in between all the plugs over here and this over here. It's the angle is just not enough for it to be able to get in. I need to get a much shorter bulb. You do get them, but I'll have to get them on my next trip to the city. So let's start with the dims. These are the easiest. Twist it left, the whole adapter, this whole silver ring twists. You see it clips on like that over there, and it's a bit tricky to get off. I'm going to get some screwdrivers and just take that off. Okay, so that's how it comes out there. This comes away, and you'll see you're left with this flat side over there on the top and a round side. On your adapter, you'll see that it's round over here with a little section like that, little flat section over there with that little pin, and that part goes on the flat side like that. So that's how you orientate it. These are also Philips bulbs. These are rated at 55 watts, and these were called, I think if I remember correctly, they were called the night breaker bulbs. Now there's one disadvantage to getting these halogen up rated bulbs, in that they produce a whole lot more heat, and because of that heat, they actually start to put micro cracks in this polycarbonate lens. So it's going to be nice to put the LEDs on. They are very, very cool. They won't be producing any heat. We've got our LED bulb, and we've got this adapter which needs to fit on here. Now to have a look how it fits, if we look at the original halogen bulbs, this fitted this way. Okay, the harness clips on over there, so it fits this way, so which means it needs to fit on this way. However, you cannot fit the braid and everything through this little hole, so they give you an Allen key, and that Allen key is to loosen 3 little Allen key screws, 1, 2 and 3, and this will slide off, and one will be able to then fit the ring through. You cannot use the original adapter because this square or rectangular hole is too small to fit over this large round section of the LED. That's what this round section, which is for the aftermarket adapters. One more thing, you'll see that there is degrees here, 0 degree there to 90 degrees, negative 90 degrees on that side and positive 90 degrees on that side. That is to orientate your LED, this LED, whether it's going to shine sideways or top to bottom. Because I had bought these adapters and the headlights as Mercedes lights, by keeping them at 0, they will actually already be orientated correctly. But to let you know which way they are orientated, the dims and the spotlights are both orientated 90 degrees from each other. So once you put the dims in, should be orientated vertically like this, that the LEDs are shining horizontally. But for the spotlights, the brights, they should be orientated it should be orientated horizontally like this so that the lights shine vertically like this, upwards and downwards. Now, to change your degree, one loosens these as well, and once you loosen these, you're able to then turn the LED light then as well. So like that. But we are going to keep it at 0 degrees, and in that way it's going to orientate correctly. Now, which way? It has to come this way. So it actually fits around this large section on the base, like that. Put that back on. And there is a line, there it is there is a line on the light, and the 0 degree must go back, right back onto that line, and we tighten these screws again. So just to remind you, you've got of the bulb, you've got the flat side here, and the round side at the bottom over here. On the adapter here, if you look, you've got the round side there. Here's a loose adapter. Again, you've got the round side there, and you've got this little section with this pin. And that is how you orientate it correctly. There, just bring that around to that, and there we go. There we are. That's how it'll fit. Now that we've got the adapter on and ready, we can put that aside now because there's something else that we need to deal with, and we need to deal with the CAN bus unit. And just like in the previous video, where we put a resistor onto the indicators in order to stop them from flashing fast, which essentially acted like a CAN bus unit, because those indicator bulbs, which were supposed to be CAN bus bulbs, were in fact not, because as we saw when we put them on, the indicators flashed fast. And it's just because of a resistance, lack of resistance. So we put the resistor on, and that's exactly what this is too. This is also a resistor, and it will get very, very hot, scorching hot. So what we've got to do is we've got to find a spot inside the light housing where we will need to secure it. And what I use to aid to secure it, I've got this leftover foam from the Land Rover Defender project that I used for this foam. I used for the bonnet, to put the heat insulative and sound insulative foam underneath the bonnet. Well, that's basically what this is, although it's not specifically bonnet foam, because those ones that are marketed as such are, well, I think they're about 100 to 1,000% of the price of what you can get the foam in its raw form from local foam shops. And it's got a resistance of a heat resistance of, I think, up to about 300 degrees Celsius. So it's got a sticky backside, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it like this, and these LEDs came with these cable ties exactly for this, like this, through this hole here, put this inside here like that. Yep, wrong way around. The sticky side has got to be on the underside, because I'm going to stick that into the housing, onto the bottom of the housing. There we are. Simple as that. And we'll tear that off as soon as we've cleaned a spot on the housing, on the bottom of the housing. Make sure it's nice and clean so that it is able to get a good stick. And this should be fine. It's going to, because it's going to get so hot, we want to actually also protect the plastic of the housing, because it might just melt the plastic of the housing. It's going to get so hot. So yeah, and that's, I reckon, going to do the job. And especially lying on the bottom of the housing, even if the sticky stuff isn't sticking exactly so, it's lying on the bottom, it's not going to be falling off anywhere. It's going to be just lying gravity wise, which is fine. The sticky stuff will be more to keep it from going left or right. And if it does lose the stickiness, it's again not going anywhere, but the foam will, to protect it from any vibrations. This is the bottom of the housing, and as you can see, there's a flat spot on the plastic right over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some alcohol and clean that up over there. Make sure it's free residue. And get my wife's small hands and stick it down for me. I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I can get where I've got the on the bottom. Now for the brights, unfortunately there's too little space to get the CAN bus unit inside there. So what I'm going to do is I cleaned the top there and I'm going to put it over there. Essentially that'll still be gravity because it'll be resting on top of the light bulb. Just like that. On top there. Now just to make sure that this adapter is aligned. You see that little section over there? That's what that pin on the flat section goes into. And then all we need to do is fold this over like that. And now, very important, we've got a positive and a negative that is marked on the CAN bus LED head units plug. Black or brown on the factory wires is brown, and yellow, brown is going to be your negative. All the browns will be your negative, the other color will be the positive. So make sure one aligns it correctly. That would be, the brown is there, like such. There we go. That one's plugged in. And now for this unit, there are arrows, and we just got to look for the arrows and align the arrows up. There's one arrow on that one there, and the other arrows on this one. And that sits like that. So now for the brights, the hard one. Why is it hard? Well, the reason being is because the adapter for the brights is actually different. If you look at the pins, this is the original, and this is the aftermarket one. This is actually the adapter for the dims. So if one is able to find adapter for the brights, that'd be great. But unfortunately, I could not find, and I could only get these ones. Can you see how they're different there? I'm not sure. I hope you can see. Anyway, what has to happen is these ones need to be bent up quite a bit, like these ones, in order to mimic those. And yeah, it takes a bit of doing. It's a bit tricky. So yeah, let's do that.
A very, very long time later.
It's finally in. A lot of wiggling. It's very tricky, this one. Now just to get this, all the plugs in and this folded out nicely. Great. Let's go check how they are. Now I want to show you those microfractures. I hope you'll be able to see them. Let's scratch, but all of that is all microfractures that go straight through the lens. And these lenses have just been polished. So that's caused by the heat of those uprated halogen bulbs. Let there be a warning to everyone using uprated halogen bulbs. They are definitely bright, but you've got long-term effects that can actually ruin the rest of your lighting.